Hello, everybody. Hello, how are you doing? Hope you're doing fine. So, today we are going to be taking a look at candlesticks when talking about the multi-time frame analysis on the part of candlesticks. A lot of people would have some confusions when they open the weekly time frame. There is something, the daily time frame, there is something, the hourly time frame, there is something. Each time frame has its own structure, so a lot of people would normally get confused, and they would not know how to go about it or what to do when they are in that specific time frame. So let me just be on the daily time frame, and let me just try to explain something just based on the same daily time frame where I am. So when you look at it here on top where my cursor is, there is this one day, the daily time frame. When you press on the day, the candles which are going to be showing here, all of these candles, these are daily candlesticks. So this candlestick is showing us everything that happened during this day. So when you look at the bottom here, when you look at the bottom here, there is where the date is written, Thursday 10 April 2025. So on Thursday, this is how the candle moved. On Thursday, this is the daily candles. It's showing us what happened on that particular day. Okay, so this is how the market moved during that day. So when we now go to H4, so we are going to find what the market is showing us on that particular day, like on Sunday, like no, let me put something like on Friday, 11th April, around 10 a.m. This is how the market moved for 4 hours. So each and every time frame you open, all the candles that you're actually going to be having when you open that time frame, those candlesticks are actually going to be saying that in 4 hours, each 4 hours, each of that time frame which you have selected, that's the way the market moved. So if you go to 1 hour, you find out that uh, each hour on that particular day, but that particular time, the market moved like that. So all of these candlesticks here, they are showing me what was happening in 1 hour. So each of these candles represent an hour. Each of these candlesticks represents an hour. So if you go to 30 minutes, it means that each of these candlesticks, they represent 30 minutes. So in 30 minutes, that's how the market moved in 30 minutes. In 30 minutes, the market moved like this from this point to this point, from this point to that point. Yeah, so when you look at it, you find out that on in the day, when we are talking about the daily time frame, inside the daily time frame, there is H4. Inside the H4, there is H1. Inside H1, there is M30. Inside M30, there is M15. Inside M15, there is what? There is M5. So what you have to understand, let me just try to draw something. So when we are talking about the time frame, you find out that let me do this. Like if we are here, like the way we are here, I'm on this one specific weekly time frame here at the top. If you look at the top here at the top here, this one, it's what? It's weekly. So inside weekly, we have what? We have daily. We have daily. Okay? And inside daily, we have what? We have H4. And inside H4, we have H1. So basically what happens in when it comes to the time frame, it's like this. You are going to have like this time frame which I'm drawing right now. This is what we can call this one as weekly. Okay? This is weekly time frame. Then inside the weekly time frame, what do we have? We have the daily time frame. Okay. And inside the daily time frame, what do we have? We have H4 time frame. Okay. And inside the H4 time frame, what do we have? We have the H1 time frame. And inside the H1 time frame, what do we have? We have the M30 time frame. And inside the M30 time frame, what do we have? We have the M15 time frame. Okay. And inside the M15 time frame, what do we have? We have the M5 time frame. Inside the M5 time frame, what do we have? We have the M1 time frame, M2, M3, M4. Okay. So this is how the market is what? This is how the market is structured, whereby there is the higher time frame, you go to the lower time frame, and from this lower time frame, it has its own higher time frame, and it also has its own what? Lower time frame, which is H4. Okay, and H4 as well has its own higher time frame, which is daily, and it has its lower time frame, which is H1. Okay, and H1 has its own higher time frame, which is H4, and its lower time frame, which is M what? M30, which is M30. And M30 has its higher time frame, which is what? Which is H1, and its lower time frame, which is M15. Okay? And M15 has its lower time frame, which is what? M5, and its higher time frame, which is what? Which is M30. So what we are trying to say is that inside weekly, there is what? Inside weekly, inside weekly, there is what? There is daily. Inside the daily, there is H4. Okay? Inside H4, there is H1. Okay? Inside H1, there is what? There is M30. Inside M30, there is what? There is M15. And inside M15, there is what? There is M5. So each time frame has its own time frame inside. So when we are talking about the month three has its own lower time frame and higher time frame. Probably but it's not here, so we can just say it's the candlestick of the year, like the year candlestick. Though those ones who can be analyzing, maybe the investors and the like. But monthly calendar is the highest time frame that you are going to be having when you are analyzing the market. Unless you're an investor, for you to be analyzing from monthly. If you're not an investor, you're an intraday trader, monthly does not affect you a lot. It's just the weekly, daily, H4, H1, and yeah, going down. So when we are looking at these time frames, when we are looking at it, if you go to the weekly time frame, okay, when you go to the weekly time frame, let me just get there goes. Okay, if you look at this candlestick, I just want us to focus on this particular candlestick. Okay, before I do, I want to mark some levels. So if you look at it, we are going to mark on this highest, this high of this candlestick. Okay, we are going to mark this high, this high of this candlestick, this high. Yeah, we have this high of this candlestick. Okay, and we have this low of this candlestick, and we have the opening of this candlestick here, the closing, I mean, and we have the opening here on top. We have the opening here on top. Yeah, so I'll put this vertical line just for me to be guided inside. So when you look at this, let me label this. Let me try to label this. So this one is the what? The high of the candlestick. Okay. And this one is the what? The open of the candlestick. All right. And this one is the close. And this one is the what? The low. So when we say that this is the high of the candlestick, which means that is the highest point that the price went during that particular time or in that particular time which you are in. Okay. So if we talk about the low now, which means this is the lowest where the price went, and the close, which means that's the price at which the market closed. Yeah. So we are now on weekly time frame. So we have identified our what? Our high, our open, our close, and our low. So I want you to see what is going to happen when we open daily, the daily time frame. So we are now in the daily time frame. Okay. Okay. Let me do this weekly. Let me do this weekly. Weekly. Yeah, let me put this here. Okay. So we are now in the daily time frame. Oh my God. These ones, they are not showing on the daily time frame. Let me put them on. Let them be showing on the daily time frame. They are not showing. They are not showing on the daily time frame. Okay. All right. They have to be visible. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. So when you go on when you're in the daily time frame now, what are you seeing? So this was the highest. So the week we say this was the what? This was the opening. This is the opening of this specific week. It opened from here. This was the opening candle. See, so it opened when it comes to the daily. It opened at this point, and the daily closed here. It went up. So this candle is the one which is showing us the opening of that particular week. So when you look at it, you find out that you have a certain number of candles, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So these 5 candles, so which means when we are talking about in when we're talking about the time frame, when we are in the weekly time frame, inside the weekly time frame, there are 5 daily candlesticks. So this is this is the weekly candlestick which we are looking at. So it started from here and closed at this point. This is the other starting point of the other week. So when we opened inside, this is the first line, which the vertical line which you draw, and this is the second. So inside the weekly candlestick, there are 5 daily candlestick inside one weekly candlestick. There are 5 daily candlesticks. Okay, let me just try to erase this so I try to explain it in a proper way. So when we are talking about the candlesticks, we are technically talking about the time frame. So inside the weekly candlestick, one weekly candlestick, okay? One. How many candlesticks do we have for the daily? We need to have 5, okay? Which is what? Monday, which is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Okay? So when you check here, this candlestick was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So this is how the market is in a week. In a week, weekly candlestick, you will find 5 daily candlestick. So that's the reason why each and every time you open, like you are on the weekly time frame, the candlesticks are few and they look a little bit bigger than the daily candlesticks, and the pips are a little bit like too much. Why? Because inside the weekly candlesticks there are daily five daily candlesticks. So when you look at it, you find out that this is the highest point which the market had gone during this specific week. So the week which we are talking about, we are just going to be looking at these candles only. Okay, these candles only. These are the candles which we are actually going to be looking at. So during this specific week, during this time, the highest point that the market moved to was this point. Okay, it was this point, and the lowest it was this point, and the market closed at what? At this point. So inside here, this is what we are having inside one weekly candlestick. Okay. So now I want you to see what is now going to happen once we open the H4 time frame. So after opening the H4 time frame, have you seen that we now have more information? We now have more information. We now have more candlesticks. We now have what? We now have more data. Okay. So when you look at it, you find out that this is where the market opened in H4, and in 4 hours of that particular day when the market moved, the market was bullish. Okay, but when you go to the daily time frame, what are you going to have? I want you to observe on this one. What you are going to find out is that the market closed what? It closed bullish. But when it opened in H4, it was what? It was bearish. So when you look at it in the daily time frame, let me have this. We have this vertical line where the market opened for that specific week. Let us check how many candles we are actually going to have in yeah, let me choose another color. Okay. The number of candles we are actually going to have in H4. Okay. So this is now H4. Okay. So we have these candlesticks 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So the market opened at this point and closed at this point during that specific day. So which means in 4 hours, the market moved from this point to this point, and in another 4 hours, another candle opened at this point and closed at this point. Then after that, when this candlestick closed, another candlestick opened from this point and closed at this point. And after that, another candlestick in 4 hours, it opened and closed at this point. Okay, so all this that you are seeing, okay, all this that you are seeing, all the way from this point to this point, this is how the market moved during that specific week. So this is one what? This is one weekly candlestick which has all this information. So when we now open from here, let me choose another set of candlesticks. If I choose this candlestick to be specific, this one which opened, I just get this vertical line here. We open H1. Okay, I want you to observe this. What have you seen? Okay, so the market opened here. What do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 candlesticks in 1 hour. So in 1 hour in the market just opened, the market moved from this point to this point. The market moved from this point to this point. After that, when it was done, the market opened here, the price opened, it went up, went down, and closed at this particular point. And from there, another candlestick opened from this point to this point, and another candlestick opened from this point to this point. So in four, one, two, three, four, these four candlesticks make one H4 candlestick. Okay, this is what you have to be seeing. So one, two, three, four. These four candlesticks of H1 make one H4 candlestick. So each and every time you open your charts and you find out that the number of candles are increasing, they are increasing. It's because each time frame, when you are opening the lower time frame, you are getting more information, more details. You are getting more details. You are getting more details of that particular day. Okay, so if you just open like one daily candlestick, you're not going to understand and you're not going to have certain information. But when you open the H4 time frame, you're going to find out that you have more details, but you still be limited, not until you open the H1 H1 time frame. And now that you have H1 time frame, what are you now going to have? What are you now going to have? You have four candlesticks. And inside these four candlesticks, you can still go lower. Let us now go to M30. You see what we are talking about, M30, so that we check on what is happening in M30. Okay. So when you look at it again here, what do you have? You have one, two. You only have two candlesticks. So it takes two candlesticks to two 30 minutes candlesticks for you to have H1, 1 hour candlestick. Okay. So inside the H1 M30 candlestick, there are also how many? Two M15 candlesticks. Okay. So let's go back to our to our to our weekly candlestick. So this is the weekly candlestick which we have. This is the weekly candlestick which we have. We have no information about anything. The only thing which we have is the high, open, close, and the low of the candlestick. So the more we keep on getting to lower time frame, the more details we keep on having. Okay, so we have seen that from the weekly time frame, we have gone to daily. In daily, we have 5 daily candlesticks, which is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And when we open the H4 time frame, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 6 H4 candlesticks. So it takes 6 candlesticks to make a daily candlesticks. And when we open the H1, you find out that now we have more information about this, where we can draw some trend lines, we can do whatever we can do, we can make up some structure because we are having more information. And when you go to M30, it is the same thing. It is the same thing. You see, it is the same thing. In M30, we are having more details, more details. So what you have to understand is that you need to be able to understand what the market is doing in higher time frame for you to be able to have better moves in the lower time frame. You have to understand what is going on in the weekly, what is going on in the daily, what is going on in the H4. You need to at least understand what is going on in any of these time frame, the H4, daily, or weekly. When you have an understanding of what is happening, it becomes easier for you to move in the lower time frame. In the lower time frame. Yeah. So this is what you have to know about the candlesticks. When we are talking about the candlesticks weekly time frame, which means inside the weekly time frame there is a what? There is a daily time frame, and inside the daily time frame There is H4 time frame. Inside H4 time frame, there is H1. Inside H1, M30. It just keeps on going just like that. It is very important for you to understand the way the time frame works, for you to be able to be able to have better moves, to be able to do things in a better way. Because once you understand how the time frame work, it becomes easy for you to do the multi time frame analysis. Because my time frame analysis is very important. You cannot just be locked in one time frame. If it's daily time frame, you're just locked in daily time frame. If it's H4 time frame, no, you have to be moving from daily H4 and H1, maybe it's your entry time frame. And if you have H4, maybe M30 is your entry time frame. But you should not just be locked in one time frame.